After signing both Brock Purdy and his security blanket tight end in George Kittle this offseason, San Francisco only had one more question on the defensive side of the ball. Were they going to extend Fred Warner, who had 2 years left on his contract? And they decided it was definitely worth it to re-solidify the defensive side of the ball, giving him a 3-year contract worth $63 million. Surprisingly, I've already seen some people complain about this contract, but I think it's going to be an absolute steal for San Francisco. It's only a $2 million increase per season annually than his previous contract that paid him right around $19 million annually. Now he's making $21 million, which does make him the highest paid linebacker, but for good reason. Another thing many people who have criticized this deal haven't spoken about is how much Fred Warner was supposed to count against the cap during the 2025 and 2026 season. During the 2025 season, for instance, he was scheduled to count $29.17 million against the cap, and in 2026, it was scheduled to be $26.17. But now with San Francisco extending Fred Warner, both of those numbers should decrease, so while you are paying him more per season, the fact is you're going to have a little bit more flexibility in your cap for the next 2 years. Another underappreciated part about this deal, and really all of San Francisco's deals this offseason, is how quickly they were able to get each one of these players extended. You aren't seeing them hold out like we've seen in previous years, and I think this is going to create a lot more cohesion with this team and have less distractions this offseason. Jumping back to Fred Warner now, while he's considered one of the greatest linebackers of this generation, I still don't think we've seen the best of him just yet. He's only 28 years of age, and every single season, it seems like he continues to improve on his weaknesses. So in this video, I want to dive a little bit more deeply into the player that is Fred Warner, go over what's made him a generational linebacker up to this point, as well as how I can see him continuing to improve headed into these next 3 years. Initially, the first thing that really stands out in Fred Warner's film to me is how aggressive he is at attacking the ball carrier, whether he's on the opposite side of the field or coming directly at him. And that's a big reason he's had 130 tackles at least every single year for the last 3 seasons. But it's not just his aggression that really impresses me, but how he's able to pair this up with his football IQ. Here going against the Vikings, for instance, he takes his read step, is quickly able to identify this outside little toss to this running back, so he shoots by the offensive lineman that's supposed to block him, breaks down in open space, and brings this back down. This is the type of mixture of aggression and smarts I'm speaking about. Another aspect about Fred Warner's game that makes him an absolute menace against the run is his unique blend of athleticism and power he offers San Francisco's defensive side of the ball. Here going against the Miami Dolphins, for instance, quickly he's able to identify this outside zone toss to this wide receiver. He's able to take on this offensive lineman, gets a full extension, and because of his power, he's not moved, is able to break down in the open field and tackle this back even with this offensive lineman basically barreling down on him. In a similar way here going against the Rams, I want to focus on Fred Warner's ability to navigate offensive linemen's blocks almost like a running back. Here, quickly identifies this little run, sidesteps this offensive lineman, breaks down in the open gap, and then brings them down for a loss on this play. High level stuff. In a similar way here going against the Rams, it's almost like Fred Warner was in the offensive huddle and knows this play. He's quickly able to identify the halfback draw, and even with this tackle attempting to block him, he shows off his contact balance, not really getting blocked at all, fights his way into the backfield, and once again on this play, it registers another TFL. While you may not think of Fred Warner as a true run-stuffing linebacker, I think he's one of the better ones across the entire National Football League. An aspect of his game that makes him particularly effective here that I've already kind of briefly touched on is his reaction time. Here going against the Cowboys, for instance, almost immediately Fred Warner is able to identify this inside zone by the way the offensive linemen are stepping play side up to the second level. So he reads it like a running back, shoots the open gap forming in the offensive line, and then brings them down once again for that TFL. The final strength of Fred Warner's I want to mention in his run defense is how great he is at scraping across offensive line to find holes. Here going against the Patriots on 4th and 1, for instance, he has a designated blitz, but rather than just getting caught up in all this congestion, you can see how he starts to slide across this offensive line to find the gap that the running back is searching for, and then meets him right there, stopping them, turning the ball over on downs. So even though it's not an interception or a fumble, it is a turnover. As much as I love Fred Warner against the run though, there's a strong case to be made that he's actually better against the pass. Not only can he drop into zone coverage, but he's one of the rare linebackers you can line up on basically anyone's tight end or halfback in man coverage, and he'll go ahead and shut him down, which will be vital for San Francisco's defense heading into this year, as Robert Saleh loves to leave his linebackers on man coverage in third down situations. To really illustrate this ability by Warner, here going against the Vikings, they're going to be running a little drag pattern with this running back, but Warner doesn't hesitate, stays inside his hip pocket, and as soon as Sam Darnold starts to target him over the middle, Warner does a great job with his timing, jumping this route, breaking up this pass without drawing the PI. Another reason Warner's been so successful at the NFL level in man coverage is how smart of a player he is. Here going against the LA Rams, for instance, he's quickly able to identify this tight end motioning across the field, and since he's in man coverage, he knows that he's at a disadvantage post-snap because this tight end just generated all this momentum coming across the field on that motion. So he comes up hard and presses him, disrupts the timing within the first 5 yards, and then once Matthew Stafford does try to target him towards the end zone, Fred Warner does an excellent job of snapping his head back towards the quarterback to not draw the PI, and then attacks the ball in there, forcing another PBU. As much as I like Fred Warner in man coverage, I would argue he's actually better in zone coverage because he has a great feel for wide receivers, tight ends, basically anyone entering his zone, and then when the quarterback is targeting someone, he does a great job of breaking outside his zone to make plays on the ball. Tied directly to this is his ability to go up and attack the ball vertically in there. Sometimes quarterbacks think they can fit it in on him, but because of his length and the ability to go up and attack the ball, routinely they get picked off. The final aspect about Fred Warner's game I absolutely love is how he's always continuing to refine it, to work on some weaknesses, as well as generate some big plays for his defense. This year, for instance, we saw him almost master the peanut punch. Routinely, we saw him punch it out of a running back's hand right before they're about to head to the goal line to only give San Francisco new life. So this is what I mean by he continues to refine the weaknesses of his game. Which brings us to how Fred Warner can continue to refine his game headed into the 2025 NFL season. While I love him coming on stunts on blitzes, one thing he definitely needs to refine is his pass rush repertoire, as he just has pretty limited pass rush moves. Another thing that would help him in this aspect of his game is keeping his hands more active and developing a true pass rush plan. The final area Warner can continue to improve heading into the 2025 season, in my opinion, is his aggression. While he shows off great aggression, sometimes he's a little bit over-aggressive, leading to missed tackles. If he's able to just find the perfect mix of aggression and conservative nature, that could lead to less missed tackles headed into this year. So when I'm looking at this record-breaking deal San Francisco gave Fred Warner, I think it's an absolute steal for them. Not only are they getting the best linebacker across the National Football League, but he has the potential to continue to develop, meaning he could end up being one of the best linebackers of all time. Ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on San Francisco extending Fred Warner, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.